If you think about the 1960s, we had an unpopular war. We had the civil rights movement. We were finding young people looking for a place to be a part. And at the advent of the what I call the hippie movement, a lot of us were wannabe hippies.
I can feel the wind.
It was my sophomore year, 1972. We all noticed the Jesus freaks on campus. And mostly I thought, oh, they're really probably not real. And I'd been raised as a Christian, but never anything like what they were. One morning, I was at the tech cafeteria about 7 in the morning, and Tommy Irwin came in, and Tommy was real instrumental in the early movement. And he was smiling and saying hello to people. And on a college campus at 7 in the morning, people just don't do that.
1972, as I was enrolling for my sophomore year, there was a young man with a big smile on his face called Barry Flanagan. Barry had a big smile on his face and a Bible in his hand and a one way for Jesus. And his opening line back then was, "Hey, good friend, I want to tell you Jesus loves you."
Things won't ever be the same. You better get ready, well, to make a change.
Those groups began meeting like on Thursday nights at Witherspoon in the lobby. Yeah, they I don't know who put us over in what was called the Textionary, upstairs in the Textionary, so nobody could find us, I think. But we thought it was great. We called it the upper room. There were more and more people just getting saved like crazy. It was just a phenomenal thing.
There was several guys who were just kind of witnessing machines, and they would walk across campus and people would just kind of come up to them and get saved. It was an amazing thing.
People would come to salvation just by us walking across campus, and someone would come up and say, "Are you one of those Jesus people?" And we'd say, "Yes." And they'd say, "Well, what do I do?"
And the college seemed to work with us. I can remember Gene Witherspoon, who Witherspoon Hall was named after.
Word got out that Gene Witherspoon's our sponsor, then on some level, we were okay for some people. And that was really good at the time for someone to think we were okay.
They were my students, and I just had several of them in my classes. I would grade their test. Well, you know, whenever I'd look at the test papers, the places where that they didn't know the answer, they just write in Jesus as Lord. What was happening was very, very amazing, and just absolutely, it was just absolutely a move of God.
Kids started hitchhiking from high schools around the state into our Thursday night meeting, and so it took on another dimension of both college and high school kids.
5 of us from McGee drove up here to come to their Thursday night meeting. It was crazy, and you know, it was just full of kids. I mean, we'd never seen anything like it, you know. I mean, that weekend, a couple of us decided we would go to Arkansas Tech and be a part of what had started here. Irwin and Flanagan and those guys were legends to us.
We knew we were coming to church, and we wanted a church like we saw in Acts. And they met in the temple courts, and they met from house to house. So we said, let's just do that. Let's find a place that we can all meet together, and then let's just meet in our homes the rest of the time. And that was our style for a long time.
The house is packed with people, a lot of musicians, a lot of instrumentation, a lot of untuned guitars, and everything from acoustic guitars, oboe, saxophones, flutes, clarinets, one guy playing a tuba, people dancing around. It's just amazing.
But the singing was always so beautiful because there were so many music majors, I think, that were involved, so there were beautiful harmonies and things through all of our worship.
One of the things through the years, from the inception of our church in 1972 to now, God has always blessed us with a strong sense of worship. In the sense, we've always been blessed with musicians.
It was fun being radical. It was fun being college students. It was just a time when, you know, we just didn't know what the end of this was going to be, what's possible here.
As it became closer to graduation, we looked and thought, wow, what are we going to, you know, what are we going to do? We love these people, we love what we've got. Can we hang together?
I think the Lord, He gave us a commitment not only to Him, but to each other. So we not only loved God, but we loved each other, and I think that's a good way for a church to start.
These people who had this close connection decided to stay together and decided we were something beyond just a school fellowship group, more than just a Bible study, but it was actually going to be a church.
What are we going to name ourselves? Let me see. Let's don't put a denominational name in there. But let's just call ourselves Christians. And let's just call ourselves a fellowship of Christians. We'll try to have an inclusive name. And it's almost like from the day that we decided that, it was like an anchor went in, and it seemed like the church galvanized at that point, and we knew that we were in this thing for the long haul.
About the mid-'80s, the Lord did something pretty significant in that He started calling to a next generation. The church began to grow. We started sort of gaining some of the DNA, if you will, of what had happened here.
We had a group of college students, fresh out of high school, freshmen, and then some other colleges, who wanted to meet together, and it was from all different churches in the community, and we called it Friday Night Fellowship.
And we would study together, pray together, worship together. I mean, that's just kind of what we did. That was just life.
We would just come with really no agenda except to seek the Lord that night.
God did something sort of supernatural with us through Fellowship of Christians during that time.
From the moment we walked in, I can remember the first time I actually walked in, I hadn't felt the presence of God in that way in a while. It had been a hard season that we had been in, and so when I walked in, just completely blown back by just the presence of the Lord. And all of a sudden, I'm looking around going, where has this place been? And I'm not sure why I haven't been here before now. And from that point on, you know, there was no hesitation for us and our family. It was just, we knew it was right.
My wife and I have been in youth ministry almost 20 years, 10 of which have been in Arkansas and in this community. About 2 years ago, things transitioned for our ministry and my wife and myself and family, and we found ourselves at the doorsteps here. Felt like home. Felt like this was a place that we knew not only could we grow, but this was a place for our family.
I first got involved with Fellowship of Christians as a sophomore in college. The ministry we have for college is called Tech Fellowship, and they had their gathering here in the sanctuary at FOC. And I came, and I remember that first night. I mean, it was just a simple worship service, prayer, but I remember leaving there thinking, this is it. This is where I'm going to get plugged in, and this is where God has called me to be.
When people get into FOC and they really, get the passion for what's going on here, reaching outside of the church walls, out into the community and embracing people and meeting them where they are. God has purpose for us being on this earth. He has purpose for us. You know, if you're here at FOC, God's got a purpose for you, and let's find out what that is and get you plugged in.
When you identify a town as your hometown, you want to be involved with it. You want it to be better because you're there. You want your kids to want to grow up there, be a healthy place for them to grow up. You want your kids to want to live there.
We want to see visible, transformational things take place in our community. We want to bless our city, young and old, in every aspect of the city in a way that there's a tangible difference.
Originally, God took a group of young people but didn't have a clue what to do and didn't have an idea about how to be a church or a pastor or a worship leader. He just said, hey, if you'll just trust me and take my hand, I'll show you how to do this stuff.
We've really become an intergenerational church. There is a passionate desire that the next generation, that millennial generation, and the one that's coming after it will exceed what we've seen, what we've done.
The encouraging thing about our body is it's not looked at as a one-generational church or a one movement church that just happened somewhere along the way. Everybody's heart is beating the same to see this thing go on.
From the beginning, when we realized we were a church and not just a campus group, we had a vision for being a multi-generational church. We hoped that we could run our portion of the leg well and be able to hand the baton off to the next generation and the next generation. We want to be able to hand something that's helpful off to and be a blessing to the next generation that can take this on and continue to be a blessing to our city and our state and right across the world.
This ministry has touched people worldwide, not just in Russellville, not just in Arkansas, but all across this country, and certainly into some of the places that Wayne and the group of leaders have been able to affect people's lives.
I think, we had big dreams, big visions. God has big plans. We heard those words, but yet we're constantly surprised at what He has around the next corner. There's always something
I think
further.
It's safe to say He's surpassed every dream that we've had. We're bewildered at times. How did that happen? And how do we get to be a part of this? And it's just, I think the one word that I feel more than anything else is thankful. I'm just so thankful I got to be a part of it.
We're here, we're invested, we're rooted in. Whatever is coming, we'll be ready for. I know we will.
If we began as hippies back in the early 70s, then I look forward to what we're going to. I look forward that the heart of Fellowship of Christians is to follow, to seek after God's heart and to follow it.
There is an inheritance. There's something for young people here. We must believe that if we believe that we're to be anything more than a one-generational church.
It was exciting to be a part of something bigger than ourselves with no forethought as to what this would look like 40 years down the road.
It was so much fun to be a part of something, to look back now and think about it and think, why did God let me be a part of that?
And the exciting thing is what will happen in the next 20 to 40 years as this next generation of young people begin to kind of pick that up, and we're constantly passing the baton.